Hello, Angel here. Thanks for stopping by if you're new, and if you've been here before, thank you very much for coming back. Do you know what we're doing today? We're doing hashtag one deck gone wild, and this is the deck that is going wild with me. This is a community collaboration tag, and I think it was started by Rose Honey Ritual, but don't quote me on that. I'll put all the information in the description box. With that being said, we're going to jump in. Can you guess which deck this is? Yeah, and I can't hear anybody screaming at the screen, so I'm going to show you the box. Tarot at the End of the Rainbow. This is a Los Scarabeo deck. It's a mass market deck, and I purchased it myself, obviously. Not obviously, but I did. And I decided to go wild with this deck because this was my April deck. And it was even rolled over onto my May decks because it's just such a fantastic reader for me that I don't want to put it down. And it's totally become a firm favourite in my collection. And I would say one of my top 5 decks. I've edged mine in rainbow edging because I love me some colour, hashtag colour me happy. And I'm going to be a bit naughty because, you know, I'm a bit of a cheeky monkey. And I'm going to show you the decks that I've been pairing with this one because it's been such an amazing pairing that for me they've kind of become one deck, or they're not. So this one is the Liminal Spirits Oracle mass market. I've edged mine in blue. I'm just going to say I shuffled this deck just before I started filming and this card popped out. If you've been following my channel for a minute, you'll know that I'm totally obsessed with Birch Tree Energy, so that's why I'm making a big hoo-ha about that card popping out. Anyway, this is the other deck. This is the Messenger Oracle, also a mass market deck. Sorry, I'm just getting rid of the cat hair. These are the backs. And these three, oh my goodness, such an amazing combination of decks, I have to say. I'm going to show you a few of the cards. Let's just do this. Oh, look at that. That was interesting. Look. Birch Tree, which I'm totally obsessed with and I've been getting synchronicities about. Heed the Messages. I love it. Oh, I just love it. It's fantastic. Let's see if I can coordinate this so I can move the cards out of the way. Oh, looky here. So, as mentioned, I use these 3 decks, and these 3 decks now sit in my tarot cart beside me, which has all my decks that I'm using right at the minute, and even my firm favourites that I reach for very often. I also decided to use 2 other divination tools with these decks and this pairing, and the first one of those was this beauty. These are story dice, which I found on eBay, hashtag secondhand treasure, for just a few pounds. And these are actually a game, and you throw the dice, and you make a story out of the symbols that appear on the dice. However, I thought these would make an amazing divination tool, which they do. So what I do is I pull my tarot spread with these 3 cards, and then I cast these dice over the spread, and the dice that land on the cards are the dice I read, and it gives an amazing extra layer to my readings. Another divination tool which I added to the mix was runes. Some of the Tarot at the End of the Rainbow cards have runes in the artwork, so it just felt like, you know, a no-brainer to add runes to the mix. So I usually pull a rune as a clarifier at the end of the reading. It's been amazing. Let's just show you a couple more cards because, you know, I'm a rebel like that. Love this card. And we'll take one more. So yeah, should we get back to this deck? I think we should. It'd be rude not to, wouldn't it? Let's do this. Let's pop these out of the way. Okay, so moving on to the next prompt. That was just prompt 1. Goodness me, holy moly. Okay, so the next prompt is favourite set of minors. That was quite difficult, I thought. My favourite set of minors in this deck, I think, are the 10s. I'm not a big fan of the cups, I have to say. The 10 of cups in this deck. Not that I just, you know, dislike it, but I'm not. It's not one of my favourite cards. The 10 of Pentacles is a really important card to me, and it's a card that tends to come up quite often in my ancestral practice. So this totally resonates for me with my ancestors, you know, sending a message to me. And this card I felt was really interesting because, without going into too much detail, I am working through a lot of issues and trauma with the masculine. So this was a bit of a trigger card for me. Usually this is a very fuzzy, comfy card, like a warm hug. But with the male energy in this card, it is a bit of a trigger point for me, which is good. You know, I have to step out of my comfort zone, and it's good to help with that work that I'm trying to work through. That was a terrible explanation, but I hope you understand what I mean. So for that reason, this card has actually become, you know, a card that isn't as triggering as it was when I first saw it. I'm just going to say that. So yeah, so that being said, I really enjoy the 10. I like the whole fact that she's laying on a rainbow. It's like, you know, it's over. The worst is over. It's done. You know, it's time to go over the rainbow. I quite like that, to be honest. It's time to start again. Not a big fan of the 10 of Cups as mentioned, but I really do like the 10 of Wands as well, I've got to say. So they're my favourite minors. The next prompt, favourite representation of the colour blue. That would be the Moon card. The Moon card is not generally one of my favourite cards in the tarot. However, this card, I really like the depiction of not so much the horse, but this whole scaled animal in the water with the wings, or possibly a fin, and the tail. I'm working very much recently with Melusina, who is a freshwater deity. I'm going to just show you a picture so you know who I'm talking about. This is Melusina. And I've also been getting a lot of synchronicities concerning dragons and treasure, which I'm also, you know, working with and looking into. So the whole winged, this reminded me of a dragon wing, and the scales also reminded me of a dragon, and obviously the tail reminded me of Melusina. So that's, you know, that's why I chose this card, because, you know, it feels really relevant to me and it resonates with me right at this moment in my practice. Okay, the next prompt, a card that makes me feel nostalgic. I chose quite a few for this one because I'm a bit naughty like that, and you know why not. I chose these cards. This is what I mentioned about the runes appearing in some of the cards. As I mentioned, I don't tend to reach, or I don't have very many fantasy or fae decks in my collection. But this gives me a really it gives me the feel of nostalgia, because I think it reminds me of, for instance, books like The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. And in some ways it reminds me of Alice in Wonderland, going down the rabbit hole. This totally gives me an Alice in Wonderland queen vibe, although she's the Queen of Hearts, but you know, hey ho. Yeah, and this reminds me of Hoggle from The Labyrinth, the film The Labyrinth. So it takes me back to childhood and the childhood books and stories I used to read. And Alice in Wonderland I used to listen to on cassette tape when I was a child going to sleep. So that's, you know, it totally takes me back to that. And this reminds me of, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean. So I don't know, it's just, I just really like it. I don't know, does it have to be a reason? I just like the deck. I like it. Okay, next prompt. Favourite representation of a card. That's got to be the Three of Wands. I'm going to start by saying that I don't tend to look to the guidebook for this deck, because I find it very intuitive. I find it reads really easily for me, and it did straight out of the tuck box. And this card kept coming up for me, and you know, when I sat with it and really looked at it, I kind of had a bit of an epiphany. And the epiphany being that, you know, this heart totally reminded me of an altar. which made me kind of, you know, stop and take notice. Because the work I have been doing in my practice has been, you know, a healing journey. It's been working through trauma, old tut that, you know, I want to work through and get to the other side of, and even some ancestral issues and patterns, and yeah, just a mass of tut that I just need to get through. And this card kept coming up, and it totally gave me the thought of this being an altar. And for me, an altar is somewhere, you know, that you go and you give offerings to. And, you know, I know with my altars at home, my altar is for me to give my altar energy by working at it, meditating at it, you know, taking care of it, and then almost, what's the word? Charging my altar with energy. And then when I need energy, I go to my altar to take back some of that energy, to, you know, to recharge myself. I hope that makes sense. And so this Three of Swords, giving me that altar vibe, suddenly made me realise that I've possibly been, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say praying, and I don't want to say honouring, but I've been giving offerings to this victim mentality altar and sadness and hurt altar, maybe for too long. Maybe it's time to, you know, pack up that altar and give that energy to something else. So that was my epiphany. Once I'd looked at that card, I went to the guidebook, and it was really interesting. I'm going to read you the insert from the little white book. It's just a very small book. Three of Swords reads, a heart-shaped altar, which I thought was really interesting. Made of live roots and branches, sits in the middle of a grove. 3 swords pierce the centre of the Celtic knots. Someone has gently added rainbow gemstones into the design. Keywords: heartbreak, betrayal, watch your back. Reversed, let go of the past, heal your mind, and hang in there. So I thought that was really interesting. I don't tend to read reversals, but, you know, that's what that card says to me, and that was a great reminder. And it made me really appreciate this card. I think this has become one of my favourite cards in the deck, I have to say. Okay, the next prompt. The deck's favourite book. I think that's got to be like The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, or possibly Alice in Wonderland. Something that goes down the rabbit hole. A bit of fantasy. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. Next prompt: cards that shifts my perspective. That's got to be this one, the 9 of Swords. I'm feeling the whole dragon vibe, I have to say, you know, with the synchronicities that are bouncing around within my practice right at the minute. I'm going to read you the guidebook. I'm going to read you the insert from the guidebook. I don't usually go to the guidebook for this one, but I'm going to, because I'm a rebel like that. Okay, 9 of Swords. A fairy cowers in fear from an approaching dragon. Friend or foe, it's hard to tell. The fairy's necklace grows a bright rainbow colour. The keywords: put my teeth back in. Anxiety, thank you. Believing in nightmares, temporary overwhelm. And the reversed: release tension, simplify the situation, and good dreams. So, you know, the 9 of Swords generally speaks to me of anxiety. Oh, that's a tough word to say today. However, with the recent dragon energy coming into my practice via synchronicities, this kind of made me flip it on its head and look at it, you know, look at this card in a way that maybe things that I have been feeling that I need to fear or feeling anxious about are really not things I need to be feeling fear over or any anxious feelings over. So for that reason, I really enjoy this card as well. Oh, right, moving on. If I were to travel anywhere with this deck, where would I travel to? I think that's got to be, I'm not going to say a specific country, but I think just generally to the forest, to a little magical glade. And saying that, yesterday I finally went out into the woods and I took my Wild Unknown tarot deck and I connected with the birch tree energy, which I've been wanting to do for quite a while. As I mentioned, if you've been following my channel for any length of time, you'll know that I've become birch tree obsessed, and I wanted to totally go out and hug some birch trees and connect to their wisdom with a tarot deck. However, I'm a closet beginner witch, and I'm also a closet tarot card user. So it kind of felt a bit, you know, ooh, I don't know about going outside with my tarot deck into, you know, into, I'm gonna, not public, because obviously there's not an audience there, but you know, just outside where people can see me. But I did it, and it was fantastic, and I've created a video of that, and it's on my channel now. If you'd like to see that, go and check that out. So for me, I'm totally thinking that this could be a deck that I take on a little mini forest adventure and read whilst outside. I'm totally feeling that's going to work. And it didn't occur to me before, but that prompt has totally given me that idea, which I think I might do. Watch this space. Okay, next prompt. If your deck had its own collection, what would it be? Well, that's totally obvious. That would be rainbows, moonbeams, sun rays, fireflies, and anything magical, basically. I think they would have, you know, an apothecary with beautiful jars with moonbeams in them, and sun rays that they've collected, and dandelion wishes, and yeah, things like that. Next prompt. Most and least favourite cards. That was lucky, because we're almost at the end of the cards I need to show you here. I don't think I have a least favourite card, to be honest. Not that I can come upon my, you know, just at the wee moment. And because I don't have a least favourite, I'm going to show you my favourites. Obviously, it goes without saying that the Three of Swords is a favourite. I'm going to show you that one again. I really like this one, Eight of Cups. And I'm going to tell you why I really, really enjoy this card. You know, this whole packing up, walking away and leaving things behind, totally resonated for me with the fact that this person is wearing a backpack. And I've mentioned before in a previous video that this is the backpack that I use on my poppet for poppet work. And I tend to think of, you know, our life's journey, that we have our own backpack, which we are able to carry a certain amount of emotional baggage, I'm going to say, or maybe not baggage, but a certain amount of things that one can and wants to carry with them through their lives. And at a certain point, sooner or later, that backpack is going to get too heavy, and you're going to have to put it down and, you know, unpack the things that aren't important to you anymore and don't need to be carried, that can be left behind and should be left behind, to make your journey easier. And so this depiction of this card, and with the backpack, you know, walking away down this out of the door and down the path, I really like that. I'm sure that this is not the only deck that has that kind of depiction, but for me that really stuck out with the whole backpack that I use for my poppet work, and the way that I see our backpacks that we carry with us through our lives, only having a certain amount of space. That was a long explanation, wasn't it? I really like the Sun card. This totally speaks to me of self-expression, you know, being yourself, being who you are, who you're meant to be. I love this. Then I have to say I really enjoy the World. I love that. I think that's such a beautiful card. I really like the King of Wands. I love it that it feels like he's handing you his wand. He's handing you that passion and power and inspiration and motivation. I really like that. And I'm going to say that this was the actual card that initially drew my attention to this deck. I love that card. Love it. Okay, next prompt. Let's have a looky here. Let's go back to my notes so I'm not leading you astray. Does any card remind you of someone? And that would be a yes. I'm just going to pop these out of the way. And let's just do this. I'm going to say yes, and that would be this one. This totally reminds me of Melusina. Did I show you the picture of Melusina? I believe I did. I'm going to show you one more time, just to recap. So when this card comes up for me, this totally gives me a Melusina vibe. So I really enjoy it for that reason. And the last card, the last prompt, sorry, or almost the last prompt. Okay, I'm lying to you. I've got 2 more prompts. Which card represents me right now? That has got to be this one. I have just shown it to you and I'm not going to find it. 8 of Cups. I'm doing my best to walk away and leave behind all the things that are no longer serving me. I'm in a death card year. In January, I let go of something that has had great meaning to me since 2009, but I knew it was time to let it go, and I did it, and I'm really happy that I did it. And so this year, and now especially, is really a time that I want to unpack that backpack. It's, you know, work I'm doing with my poppet and work I'm working with in my practice at the moment. So this definitely represents me right at this moment in time. And the final prompt now, which card would I hang in a room in my house? Oh, am I going to be able to find it? I think you can possibly guess, because I've spoken about it twice in this video. Dooby dooby doo. The 3 of Swords as a reminder. As a reminder to not give energy to things that don't need my energy any longer. I've gone quiet, haven't I? Yeah, I don't know what to say anymore. This would definitely be the artwork that I would hang in my home as a reminder, which I think is an important reminder. So yes, that's it. We're done. We are dusted. I have answered the prompts. I believe there are 37 prompts in total. And you know, if you wanted to do a response to this, I'm going to put all the questions in the description box. Yeah, what say you? How would you answer any of these questions? Which deck would you have gone wild with? Let me know in the comment section. I'd love to know. I'm going to thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to wish you a lovely morning, afternoon or evening. Have a lovely day, whatever you're doing, wherever you are in the world. Take care, and hope to see you next time. Toodaloo.